Over the last 25 years, the United States Air Force has recorded over 100,000 bird strikes. That works out to about 12 bird strikes a day, and it's cost the Air Force over $800 million worth of equipment damage. In this video, you're going to learn how to properly mission plan with respect to birds. So there you are cruising around, when suddenly, boom, bird strike. In episode 2 of Toolkit, we discussed what to do in the immediate moments following a bird strike or other emergency. Now we'll be discussing how we can mitigate that threat in the mission planning phase of the sortie. In order to help pilots across the private and military sectors, the FAA and the Department of Defense came together to create the Avian Hazard Advisory System, also known as AHAS. AHAS is an online application that is accessible to military and civilian pilots that can be used to determine the threats that birds pose on a particular sortie. AHAS has two primary methods of determining the risk of birds on a particular sortie: the NEXRAD and the BAM. NEXRAD is the national network of high-resolution Doppler radars. Although primarily used to watch atmospheric conditions for weather reporting, the NEXRAD radar system is accurate enough to monitor flocks of birds in real time. Up next is the BAM, or Bird Avoidance Model. The BAM is a historical model using data collected over the last 30 years that can give pilots a general idea of the bird activity in a particular area for that time of the year. Both NEXRAD and BAM produce an assessment of the risks that birds pose to flyers in low, moderate, or severe categories. More specifically, these risk classes are based upon the bird mass in ounces per square kilometer. A very unsettling aspect of this system is the fact that the risks do not scale linearly. What I mean by this is that flying in an area that is moderate risk is 50 to 700 times the risk of flying in an area that's low risk. And even more terrifying is that flying in an area that is classified as severe is about 2,500 to 40,000 times the risk of flying somewhere that's considered low. It is for this reason that Air Force pilots are not allowed to operate aircraft in airspace that is either predicted or observed to be bird severe. Okay, so now that we understand what the AHAS system is and how it works, let's go ahead and talk about how to actually use the AHAS system. So here we go. I go usahas.com, press OK, and then if I want to assess for my airfield, I go airfields. Today we'll do Vance Air Force Base. Scroll on down to here, and then I do AHAS risk. This is the current situation here at Vance. But if I want to predict it off into the future, we can go to 12-hour risk. So now we see that currently at 1642 Zulu, NEXRAD is low, the threat of soaring birds is low, and this is all based on NEXRAD, the AHAS risk over here. But as we go off in the future, as we talked about, NEXRAD is live, whereas BAM is a model. So all day we're predicted birds mod. So in my mission planning, I'm going to note that birds will be mod, even though in the moment NEXRAD will probably say that it's going to be low. So now let's talk about mission planning with respect to birds on a low-level route. Let's try SR 247. So here I am on the home screen. I go to AHAS, and I go slow routes for SR. Scroll on down to 247, and we click the AHAS. So currently, the NEXRAD Doppler radars are seeing low bird activity across the entire low-level route. But as we go to 12-hour risk, we see that the risk is actually predicted to be moderate. So going out the door, I'm going to have a mitigation plan to deal with the birds mod unless we observe otherwise. So as you could probably already tell from the previous two examples, the US AHAS system covers low-level routes, airfields, MOAs, ranges, alert areas. But what about Air Force units and other units? Well, what this means is that somebody from your unit has gone through and selected airspaces that are frequented by your unit. So if you're advanced, you can go to 71st OG, click on AHAS, and then all of the commonly used airfields, low-level routes, and airspaces are already compiled for you, and you can see in real time where the birds are. Alright, so the last really cool thing about usahas.com is that it can show you a live feed of what the NexRad radars are seeing, as well as a national overlay of what the BAM model looks like. So, we're going to check out for Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington. Click on the Google Map link. Only displays the risk for the next hour. Then we scroll down, we click on NexRad. So this is what the bird activity up in Washington looks like right now. A couple of neat little overlays we can put in. We can show dams, which have a lot of bird activity, landfills and triangles for obvious reasons. We can also look at golf courses. So it looks like there's plenty of dams, landfills, and golf courses over here. Otherwise, we can overlay IR routes. Get rid of that. We can overlay SR routes, not very many over there, and even VR routes. We can put up some MOAs, and we can highlight airfields. So, right around here. Next thing we can do is we can zoom out. We can look at the bird assessment model for the entire country for today. So this is the National Bird Assessment Model for the bye week from October 22nd to November 4th. At dawn, there's a couple patches of severe birds across the Midwest, over down here by Louisiana, and a couple up here in the mountains. During midday, this is what it looks like. Dusk, there's a couple larger patches of birds low. And then at night, there's significant patches of birds low. So that's everything you need to know about how to assess the threat that birds pose to your sortie for that day. There's a few excerpts from the 11202 Vol 3 concerning birds that aren't too well known. First comes from Chapter 3, which is General Flight Rules. Subsection 20 is in-flight reporting. Paragraph 1 of this section states that aircrew will immediately report hazardous weather conditions to include wake turbulence, volcanic activity, and in our case, large concentrations of birds or wildlife near the airfield. With respect to Air Force pilot training, I know that a lot of pilots are weary to call out birds mod or birds severe at airfield because they don't want to be the guy that shuts down ops for the base. It is critical to safety of flight and to keep your bros alive that you call out birds mod or birds severe like you see it, whether you're a student or an instructor. The next thing I want to talk about is in Chapter 4, which is mission planning. Chapter 4, Section 6 is mission planning requirements, which states that before every flight, Air Force pilots need to make sure that they check the bird advisories and hazard information. Chapter 12, Section 5 of the 11202 Vol 3 deals with hazard avoidance. In this section, it says that the pilot in command will not operate in forecast or actual severe condition to include icing, turbulence, and in our case, birdwatch condition. This includes the BAM or the NexRad. It's not up to you to decide what's valid or what's not. If it's predicting bird severe, we don't fly there. In my opinion, mission planning with respect to birds is the most overlooked thing in all of Air Force pilot training. It's very important that we do this so that we can stay safe, that we don't put ourselves in unfortunate situations that could have been prevented via proper mission planning. And with that being said, you now know everything you need to know about mission planning with respect to birds using the AHAS system. If you know anybody that could use this information, please share this video. If you learned something over the last 10 minutes, please drop a like. And if you enjoy the content that I'm producing, please subscribe. Until next time, keep watching out for those birds. Later.